I wanted to talk about a movie that I seen recently called Elle, or entitled Elle is the name of the movie. ELLE. It's a movie, French language movie. I think it's a co-production from many different countries, but the movie's in French and it's starring Isabelle Huppert, who believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. Famous French actress who I've seen in other movies over the years. She has a long career in French language films and also she appears in productions outside of France as well. I thought I've seen her in many more movies, but I was looking through her filmography and I could only pick out a few, maybe four or five titles that I've seen, including Elle. So, um, I had, she has an extensive filmography. So there's a lot of films that she's been in. I'll post some links to Elle and or at least some links where you can get some additional information down below so that you can follow those links and see some more things about her. And I'm really not going to talk about the story in full because, it's a lot to talk about. And, if you are interested in seeing the film, I don't want to give away too many things. But although the movie was good to an extent, well acted for the most part, I just didn't. The movie didn't work for me after a certain point. Uh, yeah, I think a plane is going overhead, like a helicopter or something. But anyway, the movie didn't work for me over a certain point. Um, it has so much because it starts with a bang. Let me just say that, and it has so much potential, and it was so strong for the beginning part of the film. There were some things I didn't like about it. Even in the beginning, even though it was fairly strong, for some reason, I do not like representations in film of like the new economy. I don't know how else to describe it, but 21st century jobs, like people working in companies like Google or these new tech companies or app related companies, or for some reason it always seems phony to me when I see that in film. It doesn't ring real. And this doesn't really tell you much about the story, but she owns like a video game company. And I don't know why, it just didn't ring true to me. Although, they did some good elements with that. It just seems, I don't know. I don't know why when I see those type of representations on film, it just seems like it's just kind of forced into the script. And it doesn't seem like it works for me. But that wasn't the problem that I had with the movie overall. It was just the main storyline, how it just kind of veered off in a weird way, um, halfway through, or maybe even 2/3 the way through, and then it kept going on and on and on, and you're just thinking like, where is this going to lead? I mean, the character motivation wasn't really. Um, the motivation for the characters wasn't really explored in a way. And I thought it was actually going to have a tie-in with something that had to do with the Isabelle Huppert's character's family, but there was no tie-in. I mean, her father had was is in prison, the character that she plays in the movie, for a crime that he committed many years previous. And I thought, I don't want to say too much, but it just that I didn't feel like it needed to be included in the movie because it wasn't explored in any way that actually added anything to the story. Um, it was just so many problems with this movie, and the thing is, the movie has been well received. The At least the Rotten Tomatoes, I think it's over 70%, might be close to 80%. So it looks like many critics who've seen the movie has enjoyed it. I always wonder about film criticism right now because, from my understanding, some of the old school critics are retiring or being fired. I'm assuming that there's still film critics at all the major newspapers, although I don't read the reviews as much as I used to. Now, what I do is I just look at the Rotten Tomato score. And if it has a high score, I'll consider seeing it. Or, if I see a review, I'm not a review, a trailer. If I see a trailer and the trailer looks good, and that's one of the things with this movie, the trailer looks awesome. The trailer was wonderful, so that really pulled me in. So I will see a movie if the trailer looks great, um, even if the reviews are off. Sometimes you'll see a movie if the trailer looks awesome, and then you'll go to the movie, and the reviews might be bad, but you'll go to the movies based on the trailer, and the movie's terrible. But in this case, the reviews are also pretty good. I mean, at least the score. I haven't really read any of the reviews. But, because I think film criticism is kind of in a crisis right now, I don't know what quality we're getting from the reviews now. I don't know the names of the critics anymore. I used to read Roger Ebert. Who was another guy I used to read? There was this guy who I think he used to do film reviews for Slate magazine, online magazine. He had a Spanish name, and I can't remember his name. And then there was the guy, what's his name? Elvis something, the African American film critic Elvis. I forget his last name. It's been a while since I used to follow critics. There were critics I liked, and they seemed to be on the same wavelength as I am on movies. And what I used to do is there was two films that I really liked: Code Unknown and The Dreamers. Bernardo Bertolucci film, The Dreamers, and Code Unknown was Michael Haneke. I really love those films, and those are like standard bearer films for me. So what I used to do is I would look for critics who liked both of those films. And if I found a critic that gave both of those films like an A+ rating, then I would read that critic's reviews and try to discover new films. If they liked it, and I would assume that I would like it too. That didn't always work, but it was a good way for me to track certain reviewers. And I could do that on Rotten Tomatoes. I could look up both of those films and find out what reviews like them. So I used to do that. But I haven't done that in years. I haven't followed reviewers in years. So I'm kind of lost sight of who the top reviewers now, because people have moved on. Some have passed away, like Roger Ebert. And I don't really know who's out there right now who I could really look for. Things that just changed with smartphones. I used to open up the newspaper. I used to get the local paper, look at the movies that were out, and look at what they were graded. Now I just open up an app and look at the score on Rotten Tomatoes, and then I make my decisions on that, and also if I see a trailer. So this movie, I couldn't recommend it. Again, the title is Elle. The director, Paul Verhoeven. I never heard of this person. So this is probably the first film of his that I've ever seen. But it is playing at local theaters, at art house theaters. So there's a chance that you might be in an area where the film is not being played. But hey, it'll be available streaming sometime in the future. I'm not sure on what services. I'm assuming it'll be available streaming. You might have to pay for it. It might not be a part of the normal package. But, I'm saying that I wouldn't recommend the film to see. But you may think differently. Peace.